Something is happening right now that most people have no idea about. Quietly, without headlines, without panic, millions of ordinary people are pulling their money out of traditional banks and moving it somewhere else entirely. Not criminals, not conspiracy theorists, accountants, teachers, small business owners, retirees. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why they are doing it, where the money is going, and whether you should be doing the same thing before it is too late. Here is the situation millions of people are living right now. You deposit your paycheck, the bank holds your money, and at the end of the month, after inflation has eaten through your purchasing power, your balance has effectively lost value, even though the number stayed the same. You saved diligently. You did everything right, and somehow you feel like you are running in place. That quiet frustration you feel when you look at your account, you are not imagining it. The math is actually working against you. And it gets worse, because while your savings sit in a checking account earning virtually nothing, the bank is lending that same money to other people at rates of 15, 20, sometimes 30%. Your money is working incredibly hard, just not for you. Meanwhile, a different group of people, those who figured something out years ago, are watching their wealth grow while they sleep. That gap between the two groups is not about income. It is about where the money sits and what it is doing while it waits. So what do most people do when they realize this? They open a savings account, maybe a high-yield savings account if they are feeling sophisticated. And yes, the interest rate looks better than a checking account. But here is the trap that nobody explains to you. The bank still controls your money. They can change the rate overnight. They benefit from the spread between what they pay you and what they charge borrowers. You have handed over the keys to your own wealth and accepted a small tip in return. You solved nothing. You just made it feel like you did. There is a reason this keeps happening generation after generation that almost nobody talks about openly. It is not stupidity. It is not laziness. It is something much more structural, something baked into the system itself. The banks, the financial media, even most financial advisors have a vested interest in keeping you inside a specific set of options. The people quietly moving their money, they are not doing something illegal or exotic. They simply stopped asking the banks for permission to grow their own wealth. And that one shift changes everything. Here's the core mechanism. Banks are intermediaries. They exist to profit from the distance between savers and borrowers. Every dollar you park with them is raw material for their business model. The interest they pay you is the cost of acquiring your capital. The interest they charge others is their revenue. The bigger that gap, the more they profit. This is not a conspiracy, it is just business. But here is what changed. For the first time in history, ordinary people have access to tools that allow them to bypass the intermediary entirely and capture that spread for themselves. The numbers are staggering. Between 2022 and 2024, over $2 trillion moved out of traditional bank deposits in the United States alone. Money market funds hit record levels. Treasury direct accounts saw enrollment jump by over 600% in a single year. In Europe, similar flows accelerated into government bonds purchased directly by individuals. This was not institutional money. It was ordinary people making a decision that used to require a financial advisor and now requires only a smartphone and 20 minutes of research. Study the behavior of people who are genuinely building wealth, and you notice a pattern immediately. They do not save money, they deploy capital. Every dollar they receive gets assigned a job. Some goes to liquid instruments that pay them market rates. Some goes to assets that appreciate. Some goes to investments that generate cash flow. The average person treats money like a guest bedroom, a place where money waits. The wealth builder treats money like an employee, someone who is expected to show up, work hard, and produce results every single day. Here is the single reframe that changes everything. Stop thinking about where to save your money and start thinking about who your money is working for right now. Because your money is always working for someone. When it sits in a bank account earning 1% while inflation runs at 4%, it is working for the bank and losing ground for you. The question is never whether your money is working. It is always working. The only question is for whom. Once that lands, you can never look at a bank account the same way again. Principle 1. Match your money to its job. Not all money should be in the same place. Money you need tomorrow belongs somewhere liquid and safe. Money you will not need for 6 months can earn dramatically more in a government securities fund or a treasury instrument. Money you will not need for 5 years belongs in assets that grow. Most people keep all 3 types of money in the same place because it feels simpler. But that simplicity costs them thousands of dollars every single year in lost returns. Separate the piles, assign the roles, everything changes. Principle 2. Own the infrastructure, do not just use it. The people quietly getting richer are not just customers of the financial system, they own pieces of it. Shares in the banks themselves, shares in payment processors, shares in index funds that hold hundreds of companies across every sector. When the economy grows, their net worth grows. When the bank profits from your neighbor's mortgage, a shareholder profits. The shift from being a pure consumer of financial services to being a partial owner of those services is one of the most underrated wealth-building moves available to ordinary people today. Principle 3. Automate the decision so you never have to rely on willpower. The biggest enemy of wealth building is not ignorance. It is friction. Every month you have to actively decide to invest. You introduce a moment where life can get in the way. The most effective move is to set up automatic transfers on the day your paycheck hits, before the money ever reaches your spending account. Pay your future self first and automatically. The people who consistently build wealth have largely removed themselves from the decision. The system runs. The money moves. The wealth accumulates quietly in the background. Now here is where most people derail themselves when they start applying this. First, they move too much too fast. They drain their emergency fund chasing higher returns, and the first unexpected expense sends them into debt. Second, they confuse complexity with sophistication. They buy things they do not understand because they sound impressive. Third, and most common, they watch the market too closely. They see a 2% drop and panic sell, locking in losses permanently. Moving your money is only the first step. Staying disciplined through the inevitable volatility is what actually produces the result. Here is what you actually do, starting this week. In the next 48 hours, calculate exactly how much you need as a liquid emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. That amount stays somewhere safe and accessible. This week, open an account with a brokerage or a government securities platform if you do not already have one. Take 30 minutes to reach one simple instrument in your country that pays above inflation. Next payday, set up one automatic transfer, even if it is small. The amount matters less than the habit. In 30 days, review, add more. The motion builds momentum. Here's the question I want to leave you with, and I genuinely want to read your answer in the comments. If your money has been sitting in a traditional bank account for the last 5 years, and the bank has been quietly profiting from it this entire time, do you think the bank owes you something? Or do you think the responsibility for that gap has always been yours? There is no clean right answer, but how you answer that question will tell you more about your financial future than any tool, account, or strategy ever could.